everyone, it's Clarke here, and I'm participating this week in the throwback week to the Two Peas Garden Girls. And the garden girl that I'm going to be scrap lifting today is Celine Navarro, and this is the layout that she did that I'm going to be lifting. And so I just absolutely love her work. And one of my favorite things to do in my scrap room definitely is just going to adjust my camera here for a sec, sorry. One of my favorite things to work with is definitely mixed media. And so, yeah, I'm just going to work with Celine's layout here, and I'm going to be using basically the same ideas that she used here for my layout. And I'm going to start off with some craft cardstock, and I'm going to be using some gesso. Like you can see here, she just put down a layer of gesso behind all of her other products. So that's what I'm going to do with mine, and I'm hoping to incorporate some stamps and some different stenciling and some splatters and did I say stamps already? I probably did. If I didn't, anyway, stamps and all kinds of different products to come up with this really interesting scrap lift of this layout. I love it. Love, love, love it. So I'm going to start off with some gesso, and I'm going to use some heavy gesso today rather than a lighter gesso, just because I want the gesso to stand out quite prominently on the layout. So I'm just putting this down with a old rewards card, I think is what it is, just a plastic card. Just getting it on there fairly thinly. I don't want it too thick. And you just, it's okay if it's got some lines in it and so on, like you want it to it's okay if it's choppy, you want it to have that texture that you want to create for your background. So I'm not being too careful about how evenly I'm getting it on there, etc. Just gonna get it on there, and there we go. So just going to come back in a couple minutes once I have that dry. Okay, so my next plan is to do some splattering on the background here. So I'm just going to take a little bit of water and add it to some golden fluid acrylics in black. The fluid acrylics are already pretty fluid, so I don't want too much water. But just enough. I've got way too much paint here, by the way. Oh well. Just gonna tap this. I don't want too much black, but just a little bit. Wouldn't mind some larger blobs. Let's get a little more water mixed in there. That's probably enough black right there. And I want to let that dry a little bit before I add some other splatters so that the black doesn't mix. I might even just take a little bit of paper towel and sop that up a little bit. Not too much though, because it takes away from the color a little bit, makes it a little more faded if you absorb too much of it. So just take a little bit here and there. And just take my heat tool and dry that a little bit. I do have my paper taped down with some micro pour tape, just because the paper buckles a little bit when you put the gesso on there. So I just wanted to make sure that well, first of all, it keeps my paper in place while I'm working, but also it flattens it out, which makes it a little bit more easy to work on it. So that acrylic paint dries quite quickly actually. So that's dry. So now I'm just going to take some of the other colors that I'm going to be using on the layout. So the photograph that I'm going to be using is of a little fruit stand that we were at when we were on the road to Hana on Maui, and Twin Falls was the place where we'd stopped, and there's a little fruit stand there. So we took this cute little picture of these. They had painted some coconuts and made some little heads out of the shells of the coconut and stuff just to make these little people. So I thought that was really cute. So I'm going to use the color inspiration there from that picture, which is kind of like the aqua and the orange. There's some blues in there, some reds. So I'm going to splatter with some Heidi Swap Color Shine in peach. Yep, that's peach. And then I also want to use a little bit of the teal. Some splatters down in that color. As well. Do a little more finer splattering over here on the side a little bit. Just add some color to that craft cardstock. Put a little bit of orange over there too. Some little ones. Okay, so those are my splatters. So I'm just going to clean my brush and I'll be right back. So I'm just creating some of the little background color circles, and all I'm doing is I'm just taking some Taken with Teal Stampin' Up! Ink, and I'm just taking the Tim Holtz tool and I'm just getting some ink and just, you know, lightly rubbing that onto the surface where the gesso is. So I've just made sure that all of my splatters are dry at this point. And I'm just going to go along and make some little random areas with these circles. I don't have just circles for a stencil, so I'm just kind of improvising. I just wanted the larger circles, and so I'm just using this Finnabair stencil and I'm using the largest circle on there. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to keep doing that. I'm just going to make some more of those circles around the layout. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Tim Holtz chevron stencil and I'm going to do the same kind of thing but with orange ink. Okay, so I have created this background. I put a little bit of stamping. Sorry, I stamped off onto my table there. I'll have to wash that off after. So I've got a little bit of stamping just to create a little bit of texture in these two areas. And I've got all of the rubbing done with the ink. I just rubbed some ink on in orange here and here, and just creating some of those different textures with the stencil. And now what I want to do is I want to take another stencil with some smaller circles on it, and I want to add a little more texture. I'm thinking about this, but now I'm looking at it and I'm realizing that is not the right color. So I'm just going to check and see. I have this one, but that's not quite right either. What else have I got? I might not have one that really matches. So I might just use the orange in a couple places instead of the blue and the orange. I could actually mix some texture paste and some Heidi Swapp turquoise colors, and I might still do that. We'll just see. Trying to decide where I want this. So my picture is going to kind of go in this area here. So I was thinking I would put it kind of around the area of the picture. So it's always good to kind of do it behind where you think the picture is going to go. And I want it to be kind of a random. I don't want it to be a perfect square or anything like that. So I just want sort of like a random pattern there. And now I think what I'm going to do is just mix up a little bit of other paste. There's actually, you can do that on a variety of different surfaces. I don't mind doing it on my acrylic block here, but it does leave a little bit of a stain on there. So I'm probably going to use some plastic. I'm just checking around my table here for some plastic. Let's use this piece here. So what you can do is just take some paste. There we go. I'm going to use the Ranger texture paste. It's my favorite, I think. All the different pastes that I've got in my craft room. And I'll just put it here. Hopefully you can still see that. Yeah. And I'm just going to mix a little bit of the turquoise with that. I'm actually going to pour quite a bit, actually. Pour quite a bit out. But it's quite a bit more than I actually should have poured on there, but it's going to be kind of goopy. That's what happens when you put too much. Too much of the color shine. That's okay though. It'll make it a little bit darker, which is fine. Okay, so I've got that spot there. So I'm thinking probably an area maybe up here for the turquoise. There. Perfect. So that's going to have to dry. Okay, so at this point you can see that I did just a little bit more stamping off camera. My texture paste is all dry now. I just took a few little stamps. The one set that I used that I really, really love is my favorite things. It's called Polynesian Paradise. And I bought this stamp set quite a while ago from Simon Says Stamp, but our favorite vacation spot's definitely Hawaii. We've been there a few times, and so I thought that this stamp set would get some really good use. And it also comes with the die set as well. So I used this little Aloha stamp, and I also used the hibiscus stamp there as well. And the other stamp set that I used was just this little Embellishments photo shoot clear stamp set, and I used the Photo Love. And I also used, oh yes, I also used the Maggie Home Shine Collection roller stamp. So I've got just a few little stamps here and there in the turquoise, and then just some black, and just put those in various different places just to add some texture. So if you go back to that original layout of Celine's, she's got a lot of different stamps on there also, which I really love. I love the look of that. It just adds a lot of really cool texture onto the layout. Okay, so I think at this point I'm ready to add the photograph. we can see that she's got quite a bit more paint or ink. She's got some ink splotches and that kind of thing on there, which does add a lot of texture. I don't know if I'm going to add that to mine at this point. I think I'm just going to leave it. And because I want to do some journaling right here in this area, and then this area is going to be for my photograph, and I've got a little bit of embellishing that I want to do. So I think that I'm ready to put my photo down, and I'm just going to put it there. I think I'm just going to put it flat. I don't think I want it to pop up necessarily. I might put just a really, really thin pop dot on the back of it rather than the really thick foam tape, so that for the most part it's going to appear flat. And I'm not actually going to, I'm just going to put those a little closer together in case I want to layer anything in behind it. I'm not going to do any matting. I'm not going to put anything behind the photo, just to follow the layout that I'm lifting. Because it doesn't appear to me that she's got any kind of a layer behind her photograph. So I'm just going to go with that too, I think. And just stick that down. It's got a little bit of lift to it, but not too much, so that now I can go ahead and start putting some embellishments on there. So these are just some random die cuts from my stash. Not even 100% sure what collections they come from. This might be from Pink Paisley Cedar Lane. Maybe this is from Poolside. I'm not sure exactly. And just taking some different little bits and pieces. And got a little acetate piece there that could work. This little piece which says the perfect day on it, which could work. It's kind of the right color scheme. Okay, so that's my photo area, which I think is still a good focal point, right, with the texture paste there. And then this needs something up here. So I also have this other little die cut flower, which is good with the color scheme for sure. This little chipboard piece that says captured on it could also go up there. Layer that in, kind of like that. It might work. No, I think that's good. Might actually go off the page a little bit with that and trim that flower off. Might look a little bit better. Scooch that up a little bit. There. And then I want to do just some journaling in this area here. Okay, I'm going to stick that down. I'll be right back. So here is the finished product for my Celine Navarro scrap lift. And I've got this little cluster up here where I've placed the date. I've got a little bit of journaling, and then here's the photo cluster here. So yeah, I really love, once again, I really love her work, and she is an amazing garden girl, that's for sure. And I just really enjoyed doing this process and doing this scrap lift. So I hope you did too. And I'll see you next time on the Crafty Maven Getaway. Bye-bye.